right, hello everyone. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint with you, which I know is not the most exciting way to learn anything. However, this slideshow is amazing in terms of helping you identify what words are functioning as in your sentences and how sentences are structured. This is really cool because it can help you figure out where commas go, why a sentence might be a fragment, how to create complex sentences versus simple sentences so you have a sentence variety. So it's kind of long, it's a little dry, but if you use these lessons to help you with the activity and your own writing, you're going to end up with much clearer writing than you would otherwise. So kind of stick with me in this slideshow. You can always go back. I'm going to include the link to just the slideshow instead of a video, so you can go back and review this yourself. But here it is. So this is from another source, but again, it is just excellent grammar work. We're going to be talking about the form and structure of sentences, and they're going to tell you what that means here in a second. So 99% of the vocabulary is made up of these words. They change form depending on how you use them in the sentence, which is where the word form comes from here. So first, there's a review of nouns. They have singular and plural forms, which we know. So, for example, there is dogs, which is the plural form of the singular dog, or woman, which is singular, and women with an en is plural. You can also change the form to show possession. So that's when we have the apostrophe S. So that shows that it's possessive. There's something like that belongs to it. So the owner here belongs to the dog. So dogs is possessive. Rights belongs to the women. So that's possessive. Nouns are marked or signaled by articles like a, an, or the, or other determiners. So here's an example of an article, a dog, but here are some other ways to indicate that there is going to be a noun coming next. That, my, and some can come before a noun and also signal that there is a noun coming up. Noun phrases consist of a noun head word and its adjectivals or modifiers. So here, this is the noun head word. The welcoming smell of morning coffee, that's heading off, that's starting a noun phrase. So smell of morning coffee is the whole noun phrase, and it starts with a noun, smell. Verbs have present tense and past tense forms. So this is another way that we can change their form. Bark and barked, buy and bought are examples of present, changed to past, present, changed to past. They also have an S form and an ing form. Barks, barking, buys, buying. Those are both present tense, but we're changing their form by adding an ending. Verb phrases include a verb head word and its modifiers or adverbials. So, for example, here mysteriously disappeared from her Superwoman lunchbox. Here we're starting a verb phrase by starting with a verb, disappeared, and then continuing with its modifiers and adverbials. So the whole verb phrase here is disappeared from her Superwoman lunchbox. Adjectives have comparative and superlative forms. So these are the superlative or comparative words. Superlatives, if you think about like in a yearbook, most likely to succeed, most likely to get a perm, like whatever it is, those words are superlatives, and we're doing that with the ending of adjectives. So happy can turn to happier or happiest. Expensive, more expensive, most expensive. We're making them comparative or superlatives. It can also be qualified by words like very and too. Very happy or too expensive. That's a good indicator that you've got an adjective afterward. Adverbs have comparative and superlative forms. So similar to adjectives, we can add on to the ending like and ist. Carefully, more carefully, most carefully, very similar to adjectives. It can be qualified by words like very, quite, and to. Very and to indicate that there might be an adverb afterward. Adverbs are often formed by adding ly to adjectives. So we can turn an adjective into an adverb by adding an ly. Expensive is an adjective, a describing word of a noun, and we can add ly to it and make it an adverb. We can distinguish adjectives from adverbs in 3 ways. 1, most adjectives fit into both blanks. The blank noun is very blank. That's a good indication that the word there is an adjective. The happy leprechaun is very happy. The expensive necklace is very expensive. This is a boring sentence, and they're not saying to write a sentence like that, but they're saying to test whether or not a word is an adjective. Try creating a sentence like this with it and seeing if it makes sense. 2, you can also distinguish adjectives from adverbs by, adverbs are often movable. So you can move it in various places in the sentence and the sentence would still make sense. The dogs barked frequently, the dogs frequently barked, frequently the dogs barked. And it's still an adjective and the sentence an adverb, and the sentence means the same thing. We can distinguish adjectives from adverbs in 3 ways. Number 3, adverbs can usually be identified by the information they provide. So usually they're telling us when, where, why, how, or how often, or to what extent. That also tells us if it's an adverb. These things are modifying an adjective or a verb in the sentence. Okay, so now we're going to move on to structure here. So structure is like the small, limited groups of words that explain the grammatical or structural relationships of the forms. So these are going to give us more information about the nouns, verbs, adjectives, like the things that we just went over. Prepositions. So these form prepositional phrases with a noun phrase. They may function as either adverbial or adjectival. So in other words, they're either adverbs in the sentence or they're adjectives in the sentence. So the child with the brain deficiency is playing with the blender. With the brain deficiency is explaining the child. So that's an adjective because it's giving us more information about the noun child. And then with the blender here is an adverb because it's giving us more information about how they are playing. So this is acting as an adverb, and this whole clause, this prepositional phrase, is acting as an adjective. Determiners are articles like a, an, or the. They are possessive nouns or pronouns like Austin's girlfriend, their apartment. They are demonstrative pronouns like this old house or these grammar notes. And they're indefinite pronouns like several pies, fewer Americans, many cats. Auxiliaries are helping verbs, and here they are all listed out for you. Has, have, had, will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, must, ought to, and forms of to be. There is a huge list of forms of to be. So if you are interested in how to be can change form, that's a good anchor chart for you to get familiar with. And it precedes the main verb. So the main verb like squinting or frolic, it comes before that. So has been, squinting, should not, frolic are auxiliaries. Qualifiers intensify or alter, in other words, change the meaning of adjectives and adverbs. So those are these words here. Quite, very, and every are qualifiers that come before adjectives and adverbs and give us more information. Particles are prepositions that combined with a verb to form a phrasal verb or an idiomatic expression. So here we have particles, and that is making an entire phrase here. It's combined with a verb like look to form a phrasal verb, an idiomatic expression. So look up is a phrasal verb, and it starts with a verb and it ends with this thing called a particle. Particles are, like we just said, a preposition that combines with a verb to form a phrasal verb. So here, again, we have the particle up, And here it's acting as an adverb because it's giving us more information about look. Conjunctions, we've gone over this in class, can be classified as coordinating, correlative, or subordinating. Coordinating are these ones that you think of as conjunctions. Usually they're going like between two independent phrases or maybe a list. Correlative means that they're like going together. So not only but also, neither nor, either or, both and. It means that it's connecting with some other part of the sentence. And then subordinating begins our dependent clauses, which we've also gone over in class, and I really think that you all should memorize. All right, so now we're going to talk about different kinds of sentences. These are sentence patterns that are going to, again, really help you understand how a sentence is structured, when a sentence is incorrectly structured, and how to use punctuation to help you with the structure of your sentences. So, pattern 1, we have NP-BE and then okay, here's what this means, is you are going to put a noun phrase here, which is going to act as your subject. Then you're going to put a form of to be, and then an adverb, an adverbial or a time or place phrase. Okay, so that's what those are standing for, is noun phrase, which is going to make up your subject, the subject of your sentence. Then we've got a to be verb. Again, if you don't know how to conjugate to be verbs, that's a good thing to look up. And then here we have the adverbial or of time or place. So for example, the students. The students is a noun phrase. It starts with an article, and then I've got a noun. And then again, we've got that, we've changed the form of the noun so that it's plural. The students are is our to be verb. And then upstairs is our adverbial of time or place. It's giving us more information about where or when it is. Another example, the students. We've got another noun phrase. Are, another form of to be, and then a different time or place phrase here in the library. We're still working on pattern 1. A large posse of aggressive scooter drivers. This whole thing is a noun phrase. We've got the article, we've got the adjective, we've got the main noun right there, and then we've got a prepositional phrase here that's giving us more information about the large posse. So this whole thing is giving us is giving us the subject of the sentence. There has been no verb yet. This is what or who is doing the action in the sentence. Here is our main noun, posse, and a posse is like a group. A was a good indication that posse was the noun. Will be is the form of to be. It's a verb phrase, but again, look up your forms of to be. They can be more than one word. So will be is our verb, and then at Park City this afternoon is our adverbial, which is giving us more information about the time and place. At Park City is the place, and this afternoon is the time. Okay, now we've got a new pattern. So we're still starting with a subject. We're still starting with a form of secondly, we're writing a form of to be, which they're calling a predicating verb. And then there's a subject, complement, or an adjective. So it's a predicate adjective, an adjective that goes after, predicate is after the verb. So for example, the students, we've got another noun phrase there, the students. Are is our form of to be. And then diligent is an adjective that means like hardworking, they're kind of focused. So we're ending with an adjective. Another example, Seth is our subject, our noun. Is our form of to be. In a bad mood is another way of saying grumpy. So this whole thing, even though it starts with in, which we think of as a preposition, a place word, this in a bad mood is giving us more information about Seth. The whole thing is acting as an adjective. It's giving us more information about a noun. Here's another example. Cullen is our noun, that's a name. Was is our form of to be. And then angry and hostile toward the obvious Republican tone to Marcia's sentences. This is our adjective. It's giving us more information about Cullen it's starting with these adjectives, which gives you a good hint, and then telling us kind of this adverb phrase is giving us more information about the adjective, how or where was he angry and hostile. But this whole part after was is just acting as an adjective. It's describing what colon was. All right, and then we've got pattern 3, which is a subject. We've got a to be verb, and then we've got a subject complement or a predicate nominative. This is like another noun that we're seeing in the sentence. So the students, a noun, our subject. Are is our form of to be, and then we have another noun that's coming after the verb. So the students, are is the verb, and then scholars is another noun. Seth and Andrew, our subjects. Were is our to be form, and then pirates is the noun, and it's going to give us a noun phrase here, pirates for Halloween. Either way, the whole second half of the sentence is acting as another noun that's telling us what Seth and Andrew are. All right, now we're going to go into sentence patterns 4 and 5. All right, here we have a noun phrase, our subject, a linking verb, and then an adjective, which is our subject complement. A subject complement is an adjective or adjective clause that comes after the verb. Example, the students, which is our subject, our noun phrase. Seem is a linking verb. If you need help with linking verbs, then you can Google that. There are resources. I'll also try and put one on the slide for you. And then diligent, which again is hardworking or focused. So here we're just ending with our adjective. The toenail soup. So this right here, this whole thing is our noun phrase. Soup is the main noun, but we've got kind of a noun that's acting as an adjective here, toenail. And then we've got the article the. Tasted, which is our linking verb. And then rancid, our adjective. The piano sounds out of tune. The piano is our noun phrase. Sounds is the linking verb. Out of tune is a whole adjective phrase describing the piano. Another example, something in Connor's lunch. This whole thing is the subject or the noun phrase. Something is actually the main subject noun here because it's a thing. In Connor's lunch is our preposition or prepositional phrase that's giving more information about something, but this whole thing is acting as the subject. What seemed? Something in Connor's lunch. Seemed is the linking verb, and then alive and smelled quite foul. We've got kind of two right here adjectives, but that's okay. I've got a huge adjective phrase there after the linking verb. All right, so sentence pattern 3, another example. Neither Ataulfo nor Olivia. This whole thing is our subject, which is kind of crazy because it says neither, which means that these both aren't really the subject in real life of being friends. But we've got our two nouns here, and they're the ones who are doing the action. So this whole thing that comes before the verb is our noun phrase. Would be is the form of to be. And then a friend of Dr. Rimmer on Facebook is our noun phrase 1. So going back to pattern 3, we're ending here with a noun, a friend, and then a preposition that's describing that friend. All right, going back to pattern 4. Noun phrase, linking verb, noun phrase. So this is very similar to pattern 3, but instead of a to be verb, we're using a linking verb. So it's same basic structure, but we're not using a form of to be, we're using a linking verb, which again, information is on the slide about what that is. So, for example, the students, noun, became, linking verb, scholars, another noun. That is our subject. Seemed is our linking verb. Like a good idea, that whole thing is acting like a noun. Okay? So right here we've got that whole thing is acting like one subject. the facetious rumor about Tyler's obsession with feet. This whole thing here. Because I still haven't even gotten to my verb yet, which is how I know that this whole thing is the noun phrase, the subject. The rumor here is the main noun, and everything else is describing it. My article, the, my adjective giving me more information about the rumor, and then about Tyler's obsession with feet is our adjective clause giving me more information about the rumor again. Turned into, and then front page news in the limelight is my noun phrase. Front page news, again, news being our basic noun there, but the whole thing is just saying that this is and then another noun. All right, and then we've got 3 more sentence patterns, 6, 7, and 8, and then I think we're finished. All right, pattern 6 is we've got a noun phrase and then an intransitive verb. The students, and then rested. Now, an intransitive verb has 2 characteristics. First, it's an action verb expressing a doable activity like arrive, go, lie, sneeze, sit, die. Second, unlike a transitive verb, it will not have a direct object receiving the action. So there is nothing that is being rested. There's nothing that's being left. That's it by itself. It is the action, and there's no direct object after it. We've got other examples here. We have a noun phrase, Carissa, and then an intransitive verb, laughed. Now, in parentheses, they're giving us some more information about the way that they rested or laughed or arrived. They're giving us kind of these adverbial phrases, just as an example of how you can continue building on your intransitive verb, but you don't have to include it for the sentence to still work under pattern 6. Carissa laughed. The visitors from El Paso arrived. And phrasal verbs are verbs plus a particle, like an idiom. So we made up, we jumped up. This whole thing here, just so you know, is a phrasal verb. So another example, after the big NASCAR race, Mr. Marsh is our noun phrase, and then celebrated and frolicked through the daisies. This whole thing is our intransitive verb, and really the intransitive verbs here are just celebrated and frolicked. That's it, but he's giving us an adverbial phrase or a prepositional phrase here that's giving us more information about how he celebrated and frolicked. But Mr. Marsh really is the noun phrase. They've also included another phrase here to give us more information about how, where, when he celebrated and frolicked at the beginning. But all you need to know is we've got our noun phrase, Mr. Marsh, and then our intransitive verb, celebrated and frolicked. And then after that, you can add on to include where, how, when he did it. Pattern 7 is a noun phrase plus a transitive verb and a direct object. So the students is our noun phrase. A transitive verb has a direct object. So what is it that they are studying? Their assignment, which is our noun phrase 2, which is a direct object. In other words, what they are studying. The leadoff batter, here our noun phrase. Hit, what did he hit? A home run, our noun phrase or our direct object. Those are just, a direct object is a kind of noun phrase. That car is our noun phrase. Needs is our transitive verb. What does it need? 4 new tires, our direct object. So here it's saying that there's an exception. Reflexive and reciprocal pronouns. Let's hold off on that for just a moment. So just so you know too, you can include a phrasal verb like came by, came, put up with. So your verb might have more than one word in it because came by in this first case is acting as one verb. He came by his fortune in an unusual way. This one, he came is just the verb by itself. By the office in a hurry, even though the by is right after it, that's still not part of the verb. All right, still pattern 7. Marsh is our noun. In this case, our noun phrase is only one word wrong. Polished off is the transitive verb. Again, we can put another word there if it's part of the action. Polished off is one phrase that just means like you ate the whole thing, the rest of the food. So polished off is our whole transitive verb. And then what did he polish off? A dozen donuts out of frustration over the Steelers' loss. So this whole thing is acting as a noun phrase. What did he polish off? Really just the donuts, but the rest of it is giving us more information about the donuts. Finally, we are on pattern 8, which is a noun phrase, a transitive verb, and then an indirect and a direct object. Examples. The students is our noun phrase. Gave is the transitive verb. What did they give? The professor. Okay, so this is actually, in this case, the indirect object. And then their homework. So actually here, it is, what did they give? They gave their homework. Who did they give it to? The professor. So our indirect object is who is receiving the direct object. An indirect object is who is receiving the direct object, who or what. So in the second example, the judges is our noun phrase. Our transitive verb is awarded. What was awarded is the prize. So that's our direct object. What is awarded? And then who is it awarded to? Hannah. So she's our indirect object. Again, a direct object is what's received. I always ask myself, what is being blanked? And by what is being blanked, I mean what is being transitive verbed? What is being given? What is being awarded? What is being handed? That's my direct object. Who is it being given, awarded, handed to? That's my indirect object. The clerk is my noun phrase. Handed is my transitive verb. And then what is being handed? The wrong package. That's my direct object. Who is it being handed to? Me. Indirect object. Another example. Her mom is our noun. Bought is our transitive verb. And then what did she buy? The new Vera Bradley lunch bag. This right here is my direct object. What is being bought? Who is it being bought to or for? Both Melanie and her sister. Okay, so this is my indirect object. And then terrific new is part of the direct object. So the who or what is receiving the action is the indirect object, and then what the object is the direct object. All right, 9 and 10. I was wrong. We've got 2 more. All right, noun phrase. So pattern 9 is verb phrase plus a transitive verb plus a direct object and then an objective complement. So that doesn't mean like something nice that you say to somebody else, but it's an adjective that modifies or describes the direct object. So we've actually been looking at similar examples to this. So here, the students are noun phrase, consider is our transitive verb, and then the teacher is the direct object. And then what do they consider the teacher? Intelligent. It's giving us more information or describing the direct object. Marsh is our noun phrase. Made is our transitive verb. What did he make? The quiz. But how or what did he make the quiz? Easy. That is our adjective, our objective complement. All right, I'm running out of time here. The team painted their lacrosse sticks blue is our last example. All right, here, sentence type 9, Cynthia found Jonathan's addiction to maple syrup alarming. Cynthia is our noun phrase. Found is our transitive verb. And then Jonathan's addiction is the direct object to maple, part of the direct object. Syrup, part of the direct object. Jonathan's addiction to maple syrup. And then alarming is the adjective. All right, finally, pattern 10 is a noun phrase plus a transitive verb plus a direct object and an objective complement. I'm going to let you read these slides because my time is running out on this video. However, I hope that you're getting the gist here and seeing that the color coding on these slides is showing you what is what. And if you don't understand a term, always Google it. All right, bye.